All right, Professor. Now that you have mentioned or proven how important education is, why does it feel like the government is not looking at it, with priority? The education sector budgeted 7% of the national budget to education. Then that's approximately, say, 1.58 trillion naira for the national budget. Why is it so? Why is there no much attention in education when everybody knows how important it is?
Well, my dear, that is a good question. And I can tell you that's one of the major um, challenges we have in this country. Major. Because education is the foundation. And like you rightly pointed out, why do our leaders fail to prioritize education the way it should? Now let's look at this. The United Nations has recommended that every member state should aspire to budget a minimum of 25% of their national budget to education. A minimum. Now you have quoted 7% in the case of Nigeria. And you can now see the very huge disparity between 7% and minimum 25% that is recommended. And so you see the gap that we have not even met half of that recommendation as a country. And consequently, it now explains to you why we have all these challenges in our educational system. Because 7% of our national budget will not do it. And it's obvious to us that it has not been able to do it. That's why we have this lingering agitation between ASU and the federal government. Lingering, unending, year after year. Government after government. But now, let me share the glimmer of hope with you. Glimmer of hope is that despite what is happening at the national level, we have a totally different case in Enugu State. And I am very proud of our governor, His Excellency Dr. Peter Ndubuisiba, who has, for the first time, started budgeting 33% of the state budget for education. Unprecedented. United Nations prescribed 25%, but our governor has consistently budgeted 33%. And you can see that this is a governor that has a full appreciation of the importance of education and is not paying lip service to it. He is actually showing that he knows that the foundation of everything about governance depends on the quality of education. Because it is when we train good citizens in different spheres of life, then we can hope that these qualitative students will come out and help us to manage every sector of our society and give us a better society. Minimize kidnapping, minimize unemployment, enhance productivity, and have a more productive society, a safer society, because very few educated people will be tempted to go into kidnapping. Very few. There is a self-dignity that comes with education. You may be poor, you may be unemployed, but there is a self-dignity that I am educated and that I have classmates who are out there and they are monitoring you and they know whether you are now a kidnapper or whether you're a broadcaster or whether you're a journalist, what you're doing. There's pride that comes with it. And that pride will minimize crime. Self-dignity. But when you continue to budget 7% and we continue to underperform in all the indices for national development based on education, the rate of our problem will continue. Find high rate of unemployment, high rate of insecurity, high rate of kidnapping, high rate of, because many of these our citizens have not been given the opportunity to go to school. Those who went have not been given the necessary support, and it's a multiplier effect. And the truth of the matter is that we cannot continue to play the ostrich with this matter, because everybody who lives in the country, I don't care who you are, we all will face the consequence if we don't address this. Even from your family. The more educated you have in your family members, the safer you are. The more educated, the more vulnerable you are, because they will devour you.
All right. Now you've mentioned the barriers or the problems that we are facing when it comes to meeting the standards. But what areas do you think that we are closest to these global standards? Where are we getting it right at the moment?
Well, we are getting it right. Like I said, there's a glimmer of hope. It's not all that bad. Some state governors are doing very well. Prime example is our governor, who has become the national beacon for leadership. National beacon. Everywhere in the country now. They'll tell you, oh, go to Enugu and see what's going on there. The cleanest state in Nigeria. The state that budgets 33%. The state that has turned everywhere to construction sites. And so I am going to continue to use Enugu State and our governor as the beacon of leadership. And I'm saying it in the context that other governors will definitely emulate him, and they're already emulating him. And so if other governors emulate him, and we have governors increasing their budgetary allocations to education, okay, and aspiring to meet this minimum 25%, which the UN has prescribed, I can tell you that collectively we will see tremendous progress in the educational system in Nigeria. And I am also confident that the more the governors do this, the more that the federal government will now be pressurized to increase the budgetary allocation to education. We need to do this. Just like you said, why are we playing a blind role to this? Why? Something that is as important, as foundational, as indispensable as this issue of education. Okay? So I will expect that we will see more and more progress as more governors key in and emulate our governor, and as the federal government also gets pressurized to do something. But having said that, I think that the Nigerian education system is also going to continue to get better, primarily due to the intervention of TED Fund. TED Fund is one agency that I can tell you has been doing very well in helping to address our educational challenges. Okay, in terms of the provision of infrastructure, in terms of helping in the training of our academic staff. Until recently, TED Fund was sponsoring young academics to go abroad and pursue their postgraduate degrees. And then with the exchange rate increase recently, they have now limited it to Nigeria. But the point of the matter is that many young academics could not have pursued postgraduate degrees because they are not making enough money to survive, not to talk of funding postgraduate education. But now with TED Fund sponsorship and scholarship, many of them all over the country are abroad, many of them in Nigerian universities, and are improving their educational qualifications to master's level, to PhD. And again, we're hoping that when they graduate and come back, they would have improved themselves and they can now impart better educational quality